Mid-1980s, Chicago. Playboy bunnies in service-themed outfits wave a pennant. Playboy salutes Vietnam vets as former GIs gather around. In the 60s, Playmates flew into Vietnam for morale shows. A decade later, they turned up at homecoming parades and fundraisers. For vets who came back to a chilly reception, it felt like a long overdue thank you. The Roaring Twenties hit the fairway. 5 flappers in swimsuits, a golf ball teed up on a block of ice. Pure press photo fun. Women's golf was breaking club barriers then. Ladies' days spread nationwide, and crowds packed amateur events. Decades before the LPGA formed in 1950. Sport, style, and a wink, all in one frame. Paris, 1950s. Meet the forts of Les Halles, the market's legendary porters, human forklifts with berets, anchor tattoos, and ever-present cigarettes. They worked the night, muscling crates on hand trucks. Their guild dated back to royal times and vanished in 1969 when Paris moved its belly to Rungis. Muscle power gave way to forklifts. Here's a glimpse of a 1920s to 30s beauty pageant when judges evaluated contestants not just by their faces, but by the exact proportions of their bodies. A man with a measuring tape checks the contestants' hips right on stage, something that would spark outrage today, but back then was just part of the show. 1918, Western Front. New Zealand Kiwis grin outside a dugout with a captured German T-Gewehr, the world's first anti-tank rifle. It hurled a 13mm slug meant to punch through Britain's early tanks. The kick was brutal. No muzzle brake, is just a bruised shoulder. But for a moment, steel wasn't invincible. Deadball era, early 1910s. A Boston hitter digs in while the catcher spreads a huge pillow, mitt, and wire mask. Spitballs were legal, the ball was mushy, and protective gear was brand new. When Roger Bresnahan debuted shin guards in 1907, crowds booed it as unmanly, yet injuries dropped and the armor stayed. Europe, summer 1944. Women stand facing a wall, suspected of collaboration with the occupiers. Next comes the public shearing, head shavings meant to purify the town, justice without a courtroom. Historians estimate up to 20,000 women in France alone were humiliated this way. A reminder that war's endings aren't simple black and white. 1985. Malibu. She's the queen of pop. He's Hollywood's rebel, Madonna and Sean Penn, on their wedding day. No glamorous ceremony, just rock and roll, champagne, and wind in their hair. This marriage would last only 4 years, but it remains in history as the union of 2 of the boldest souls of their time. A mid-80s American teen bedroom, wood paneling, a tube TV, ball caps, and walls turned into a collage of magazine clippings and pinup posters. The poster business was massive. One iconic 70s pinup sold over 12 million copies. Before the internet, this was your personal Hall of Fame. Mid-1960s, a beach officer writes up a woman for an improper swimsuit. Not long before, Atlantic resorts used tape measures. Navels and a set number of inches of thigh had to be covered. Then Dr. No hit theaters. Ursula Andress's bikini broke the dam, bands faded, and America fell hard for the two-piece. Vladimir Lenin, the Soviet leader, in a wheelchair in 1923. Surrounded by his sister and a doctor. After suffering a stroke, Lenin's health declined, marking a turning point for the Soviet Union. Fun fact, this image was kept secret for years as the government hid his frailty to maintain his powerful image, something that would have shocked many Americans back in the day. 2 legendary boxers, Rocky Graziano and Tony Zale, engage in a fierce battle, delivering powerful blows to each other. This black and white photograph from the 1940s captures the tension of their famous trilogy. Fun fact, their fights were so spectacular that people called them the War in the Ring, and radio broadcasts attracted millions of listeners. America, late 1950s. Street corner greasers, worn jeans, rolled sleeves, a cigarette for cool. Working class kids sparked the first teen rebellion. Rock and roll, hot rods, the ducktail haircut. The word teenager was brand new, and many schools banned blue jeans and jackets, fearing juvenile gangs. Soon, West Side Story would turn the look into legend. Meet a lady boxer from the early 1930s. Silk romper, 10-ounce gloves, and a grin for the newsreel. Women's boxing was mostly a sideshow then. Many states banned it outright, yet gyms filled with flappers learning the jab. It took 80 more years before women finally boxed in the Olympics. London, 2012. A mid-1980s Athens. Teen travelers lounge on the sun-baked rock of the Acropolis as a temple sits in scaffolding. Greece was pouring money into meticulous restoration, taking blocks apart like a puzzle and replacing 19th century iron with titanium. Since 1987, the Acropolis has been a UNESCO site, 2 millennia on and still under repair. Inside a small workshop, the man on the left works with a steel prosthetic arm built to grip hammers and tongs. After World War I, many veterans received work arms with swap-in tools so they could stay on the job. No goggles, a hot forge, and grit for days. This is the shop floor where American ingenuity beat disability. Mid-20th century backstage. A duo of contortionists ties themselves into a human knot. No rigging, just a carpet and a grin. Acts like this toured county fairs, vaudeville, and early TV. Training started in childhood, which is why posters billed them as rubber girls. In those years, hundreds of traveling circuses crisscrossed America. A mid-1950s suburbia. A young rock and roll phenom leans back on a patio, giving the camera a cool, defiant look while toasting with a glass Coke bottle. One frame sums up a new America, backyards, teen idols, and the cola wars, just before the music takes over every living room. Backstage in the perestroika years. Late 1980s, the first Soviet beauty pageant. Bare walls, paper cups, borrowed heels. The contestants practiced swimsuit walks, unthinkable just a year or two earlier behind the Iron Curtain. The hot prizes weren't tiaras, but VCRs and trips abroad. A small scene, and a sign the world was already changing. No, this isn't a safari gone wrong. It's an early 20th century experiment. A soldier test-firing a machine gun from the back of an elephant. Militaries from India to Europe briefly toyed with modern war elephants. And during World War I, British cities even drafted circus elephants to haul heavy artillery and supplies when horses ran short. Trucks and tanks soon made the idea obsolete. But photos like this capture that brief moment when old world muscle met new age firepower. California, early 1950s, Palm Springs. Girls in swimsuits pose next to a brand new Buick 8 with its signature toothy grille. On the hood is a sight, and underneath it is another inline Fireball 8, the last era before the V8 appeared in 1953. Chrome, desert highways, and resort shots. That's how they sold America the California dream of sun and cars. In Washington, early 1910s. 2 riders pose at the White House with a new Indian, V-twin engine, tank-mounted hand shifter, white tires. Bikes like this carried police and dispatch riders, and in World War I, Indians shipped tens of thousands to the US military. From moments like this, the motorcycle became America's shorthand for the open road.